I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's going on?
Not much. I can't see you though.
How do I get
Just
that?
just press the camera button.
The camera button?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey.
what's going on, brother?
Not much. How you doing?
Good, good. Just getting home.
Just came home. Okay.
Yeah, enjoying some family time.
Yeah. Where were you guys at?
Oh, we were just out here in Pacific Grove.
Pacific
Went to
Grove.
the
Okay.
beach. Yeah,
Okay.
got the kids out. Have them enjoy it, some air.
Nice. Yeah. No, as you gotta get some air out these days with this COVID stuff. So.
Yeah, get some fresh air. You know how it goes.
Yes, sir.
How's
No.
everything? How's
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. Just been out here. Just kind of, you've seen me condition and just been hanging out. Really. I just trying to keep myself active. I've started a new diet. Kind of this new kind of I guess you get kind of keto slash plant based diet. And now just basically just employing that and just been hanging out, just doing the you obviously the podcasts and
Yeah, I see that you're busy on the podcast. I'm loving it, man.
yeah.
And I see you on the grind. I see you on IG putting in work when you can, even in the rain. I saw that.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate you recognizing that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
man. When it's dedication, it's dedication. No matter what the weather looks like outside, and that's awesome. That's awesome.
100%, 100%, 100%. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
So,
obviously, go ahead, go ahead.
also, how do you want me to just start asking you questions
Yeah, go
or?
ahead. Yeah, yeah, go ahead. this is your episode, so this is the fan appreciation episode. So I can't host.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
appreciate you having me here, man. I really
100%.
do. I'm a little nervous here. I never done something like this, but
Sure.
you told me to get the questions ready. First question off. I know you're a big football fan, and I always ask this to other people that enjoy football. What got you
Right.
to actually love the game? What made you love it? What's the first? What made you the way you are, loving the game, and the dedication I see you putting in. What made you get like that? What made you?
And I appreciate that question. So we have to all go all the way back to something which I know you also like, professional wrestling, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. So I'll get started with that. Obviously, in the '90s, I grew up a wrestling fan, right? I grew up a really diehard wrestling fan. One of my older cousins got me into it. He was basically a huge wrestling fan, really big into bodybuilding,
yeah,
and I always wanted to kind of see if I could pursue that as a career. But then I realized, yo, man, these guys, after Owen Hart died, I was like, my mom was like, "There's no way you're doing this." So like my
yeah.
parents, they put me in soccer, they put me in basketball, they put me in these sports. But the
Hmm.
issue was that the coaches complained that I was too physical, meaning that like I always get flagged for fouls. I would get charged for moving screens, because whenever I try to block somebody, I always block like this, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
set because I'm just used to always being I'm used to always moving, right?
yeah,
And so basically, I get through high school. My first couple years, I'm kind of just being a jack off, not listening to anybody, just kind of like just taking it by the whim. And then pretty much my junior year, I started turning things around. I'm like, you know what, dude? I have all this pent up physical energy and aggression. How do I channel this, right? How do I? And obviously, my dad, who was also a big influence, he was also a diehard Niners fan. That's how I got into becoming a Niners fan because my dad was a huge Niners fan, right? And so
yeah,
I was kind of grandfathered into it. But pretty much, he's also a cardiologist, so he was against me trying to play football in any way because he knew
yeah,
about the long term effects. He treated a lot of
yeah,
former NFL players, right,
yeah,
as
yeah.
patients. So for me though, for me, it was at that point where I'm like, you know what? I mean, I pretty much wasted my first 3 years of high school. I finally got my grades back up. Do I want to give this a shot? And so at that time, this was around 2007, my senior year. I go talk to coach. The coach at that time was Coach John Mannion, and his son Sean Mannion's in the NFL. He's a quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh,
And
nice, nice.
yeah, yeah. And so Coach Mannion, I'm just like, Coach, like, would you be willing to go on video test it? Because I wanted to play for San Jose State at that time. Because I
Yeah,
thought I had the ability and talent to go play at D1, right?
yeah.
And so I'm just like, yeah, coach, do you think I could do this? Do you think I have a chance, right? And then coach is like, Asif, let me be very clear with you. Our school's been kicking ass in football for 25 years, and only 2 guys or 3 guys have gone D1. he's like, I'll record a video for your character, but you haven't played, right? You have no
Yeah,
film, so I can't
yeah.
attest to your abilities as a player. But he's like, I can recommend you to try and maybe try to condition, use this fall to '07, this whole 6 month time span to kind of condition and start learning how to play. Because
Yeah,
then maybe what you can do is in the following year is that you can walk on to maybe a local JUCO, right, and
hmm,
basically see where that takes you.
Yeah.
And so obviously, like I said, my dad was basically a huge influence on me. And then I think around that '07 was when it was the year when I really, really started following it like religiously, just as much I used to follow as wrestling, because wrestling kind of watered off around '06, and then I started
Hmm.
getting into football like really religiously around '07. Like
Yeah.
I was always into it, but I wasn't as into it. And I watched obviously the Patriots go 16-0. Randy Moss, that was my
Yeah.
first season. I was like, what the fuck.
Yeah,
And
I
that and
remember
that's
that.
yeah, and that's actually why I chose this number, right?
That was gonna be my next question. Why the 81?
Yeah, because and everyone and that's a great question because everyone basically talks about, oh, like we thought you took 81 for TO because I'm a Niners fan. And
Yeah,
that right? Yeah, good.
you're right. That's what I thought too.
And yeah.
Bro.
And so for me, obviously, it was a combination of I did love TO. I loved him. I saw we heard the catch the two on the radio. Obviously that was a huge win, obviously, because the Packers were whooping our ass in the 90s. Me, my dad,
Yeah,
and then but basically around that, I'm just like, you know what? I'm like, I love how this guy plays slot. My coaches are and the coach Mannion and also a coach Willie Brown, who was my weightlifting. I was seeing weightlifting during that senior year '07, that fall
yeah,
'07 before I walked on to San City College in spring '08. He was basically like, Coach Mannion's like, oh yeah, go out for DB. And then I asked Coach, I'm like, Brown, I'm like, what do you guys think? Like, what do you think? You think I should DB? He's like, yeah. He's like, DB or can you catch? I'm like, maybe. I think I can. He's like, okay, DB or receiver, because Brown
yeah,
played receiver at ASU.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, and so pretty much from there, that's when I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go try out. And then I try to go local JUCOs around here. So around here, obviously it was Chabot around here, Hayward, here in Pleasanton, and then also DVC. The coach at that time, I forgot, his Coach Cal it was a coach at Chabot. And then
yeah,
I'm like, Coach, you guys need any receivers to walk on? Can I come try out? And he's all like, yeah, tell me about yourself. Did you ever play? I'm like, I haven't played, but I have testimony from my coaches. And he's like, you've never played? Honestly, he's like, it's gonna be really tough for you to try getting to this point. You're basically shit out of luck.
yeah,
Best of luck to you, right?
yeah,
And that was very encouraging, right? I'm like, all right,
yeah,
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 let's
sure.
yeah, let's go play football, all right, and DVC, same thing. I hit up the coach at DVC, Dabble Valley College at that time, and he's just like, he's like, you played? I'm like, no, I didn't. I was a fuck off, first couple years of high school, and now
Yeah,
I got together. I graduated a semester early. Can I get a shot? And he's all like, you can come try out, but he's like, honestly, and he's again, I was being discouraged by two different schools, bro. Two
yeah,
fucking like how I mean you can't script this, right? I'm just like I'm sitting here just like, okay, wait, what are my options at this point? Like
yeah,
the two local JUCOs that have programs are basically telling me I'm SOL. I'm shit out of luck.
yeah. Right.
What do I do from here? And then basically then I just by coincidence I have to take a math requirement at San Jose City College, right? And
Right.
so I basically I'm taking the train from Pleasant here. It's like a 45-minute train ride, not too bad. And then I find out they have a football team. So the coach at that time was Coach Carlton Connor. And so I basically go to Coach Connor. And then Coach Connor's office, I'm like, Coach, I'm like, can I play? He's like, have you ever played before? I'm like, no, Coach, I've never played. I didn't play in high school. I didn't play. And he's all like, okay. He's like, are you committed to coming practice? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, okay. He's like, are you going to come and try out? I'm like, sure. And like, I tried out. And I thought I had a shitty fucking tryout, bro. I thought it was like the worst tryout. My 40 was shit. Okay, my vertical
Yeah,
was garbage. My ladder
yeah,
was, because I obviously I conditioned just weight training. I hadn't conditioned doing the actual like kind of like the cardio, the kind of speed
yeah.
drills and all different
Hmm.
kind of, And so basically, Coach Connor's like, oh, he's like, okay, you have a lot of work to do, but you know what? If you're willing to come here and work, we'll give you the last spot because he
Yeah,
saw my effort. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh my fucking god, thank you, Lord. My
yeah.
my first practice there, bro. I get there. James Jones of the Packers is doing the ladder on our field. James Jones,
No
Super Bowl.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because Coach Keith Williams, who's a regular guest on this show,
yeah,
he basically hits me up. He basically was James Jones' coach at San Jose State, and I was just sitting there like this, like, dude, I can't.
yeah,
That's what I have to do. Is that what football is about, bro? Because bro, I was not. He was just slicing it up, like going
yeah.
zigzags,
Making
front
it
and
look
back,
easy.
make
Yeah,
it look so easy. And for a receiver his size, and like,
yeah,
mind you, at this point, I'm only like a buck 35, like 5'9". I'm like, this is like, I actually had two growth spurts. Like I had one in high school and one after high school. And
yeah.
so basically, I'm just like, okay, yeah, like this is gonna work out great. Yeah, like I'm gonna dominate this. Yeah, like, oh
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
now I see why Chabot and DVC told me I'm shit out of luck, because that's what they're referring to when they talk about the standard. But
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what?
I know.
Obviously, I stuck it out for spring 2008, and I made some of the best friends of my life. Obviously, I've had them on the show. I mean, like the guys like Manu, shout out anyone else who I got invited to Niners, different local teams here, different pro teams, and played at San
Yeah,
Jose State and other places like John Marquez, who's now coaching at De Anza. Like it was pretty much kind of like that. That's what really got me into it. But obviously, with that, like I said, my abilities, I knew my abilities, my limitations as an athlete. I may or may not become the best receiver at my position on the team that's that loaded at wideout, but
Yeah,
I'll know what I'll be able to do at special teams, but I'll still be a primary receiver. And that's how I chose 81 because of Randy
there you go.
Moss and that. So
Yeah, and that's the heart, man. That's the dedication. That's the heart. That's the, you know, so you didn't give up and you kept going and you kept grinding. That's what I love about football also too. When you mentioned you made a lot of friends and football is like it doesn't matter who you are, but it gets us together and you just build these cool relationships and that's really awesome. That's really awesome.
100%.
You know, for sure. Been watching any playoff? Did you watch any playoff games today?
I did, yeah. I was watching the Bucks game, right before this interview, and then I was pretty much watching the Chiefs game. And look at the Browns almost had them, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, then Chad Henne comes in and they weren't able to stop him, so I'm not really sure what to say about that. I was rooting for the Browns. That was my
I
dark
was
horse
rooting for
team.
the Browns as well. Yeah, I really wanted the Browns, and you know why?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, me too, being an Irish fan, a hometown kid, it was so disheartening for me to fucking go to the Super Bowl and see that, and then know that they're gonna come back with the best record in the league, and 20 out of 22 starters from that team is playing this year or are
yeah,
playing. And I mean, no disrespect, obviously, my coach, Coach Dub, the one I just mentioned at Santa City, he
yeah.
works with Tyreek Hill. He works
Oh,
with Devontae
nice.
Adams. Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah,
I mean, like I have some connection there. I'm like one person separated from those guys, but
yeah.
at the same
That's
time,
awesome.
it's just like, man, I couldn't even deal. I'm like, dude, come on, man, like seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
No,
mean,
I hear you. Yeah. No, they got a really squad. And Tyreek Hill's a yeah. He got speed for days. He can.
he definitely does. He has
Yeah,
speed for days, and he has a bunch of other assets that people don't really know. He's route running, his
yeah. He's route
hands.
runner. Yeah,
He's just
he
he's
has hands. I've seen those crazy catches he be doing sometimes. We're just like, whoa.
yeah, and it's just for me, like, yeah. Sorry about that. Let me turn the camera back on. I apologize. I moved to a
No
new place.
worries.
I'm still figuring this out. All right, there we go.
There
Yeah,
you
for
go.
me, obviously, like, I mean, Tyreek Hill is like one of those guys. It's just like he has 269 yards in a quarter. Are you
Yeah.
fucking serious? you know, these are
Yeah.
guys who get paid to play. Obviously, I got paid to play, right? But
There you
like
go.
these are guys who basically are getting paid millions of dollars to stop this man, and he just shredded them in one quarter. It's fucking filthy, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I know. I know. I hear you. It's just like, how's that even possible? But you know,
yeah, man.
Tyreek Hill's a beast, man.
Hmm.
Yeah. So another question that I had in mind, I think you already answered it though. Like when you're on the field, who do you mirror yourself, your gameplay? Was it Randy Moss as well, or who?
And that's a great question. Obviously, for me, it was a combination. So if I was playing slot, it was Randy Moss or Russ Welker because obviously at that time those were like the two big guys. Who I
Yeah.
remember that my first season watching. But also when I'm playing special teams, it would be Steve Tasker, and then eventually kind of like Matt Slater. But Steve Tasker and Bill Bass was who those two guys I used to watch from the Bills in the early '90s and also the Cowboys runs. During that time. Fuck the Cowboys, right? We're both now, right? But you know what I'm saying, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, but just watching because Bill Bates, people don't know this, but he was the first player to create the special teams player slot in the Pro Bowl in 1984.
Oh wow.
And so obviously for me, coming in on JUCO and then eventually that translating to the Arena Football League and the AIF and other, and obviously, most recently semi-pro/pro, like pretty much for him, like watching that, I'm like, oh wow, like this guy can get down the field and he can hit. Steve Tasker is like my size,
Mm-hmm.
undersized dude, right? But he's like 5'9", 185 or 5'10. I'm a little taller than him, but and now like the same weight. But it's like he would just burst down the field like boom, he's out
Yeah.
there and
Yeah.
he would just hit anyone. He's the most fearsome hitters ever, and he should be in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and so obviously, and I think you probably saw I gave him a little shout out on Twitter, and he liked my comments, so we might be able to see him on the show in the future, but
Sweet. That would be awesome.
that
Yeah.
would be great. Yeah, so Steve Tasker for sure, definitely. That's pretty much kind of who I model my game after because it's not just his player profile, as like a gunner on kickoff or like an up back on punt or being a return man or being whatever, being like a jammer, being have to block for his return man. It was just his mentality, his character, his approach to the game. He
Yeah.
could have asked for more playing time. Like I could have asked for more playing time at receiver if I want to,
Yeah.
but I knew that to help the team win, they need me to play special teams.
Yeah.
And
Whatever it takes to get that dub. And
yeah,
that's the beauty. Yeah, man. When players can do that, and forget the rest of it. Whatever you need me at, coach, and I'm gonna do it just to get the dub. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really
hundred
cool.
percent, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the questions. uh,
Yeah, good.
no. Yeah. I see you rocking that Laker hat.
Yes, sir. I'm a Lakers fan. You right?
Yeah, you
So
know
yeah.
it. LeBron's a beast. LeBron's a beast. You saw that. You saw that no looker 3 point.
Oh my God, dude, bro, he is like he's just like, I'm like, what
Yeah,
the fuck? Did the man just make that without even looking?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
I mean, I'm sitting here in my range, just acting like, all right, yeah, like I'm hot shit. And then I see
yeah,
that, and this man's like 5, 6 years older than me doing that at this, like,
yeah.
still, as that shit. I don't even know how you can, like, how can you make an argument that he's not the GOAT? I mean, yes, you can, but just my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm biased, right? But it's just
Yeah.
like, that's just me personally,
He's the goat of our era.
Absolutely.
Of this era. Obviously back then it was Jordan, Kobe, and that era. But this era is LeBron. You can't argue about that.
Right.
And that guy's a monster. Yeah,
Right.
I'm looking forward to that Space Jam part 2.
Right. Yeah. No, come out next summer, hopefully.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully see what happens.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. It's another thing. I see you got an arm.
Yeah.
I see you got an arm. I seen those IG videos. You play it all. I see you launching it. Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so actually, I'm actually glad you brought that up, and I appreciate that because for me playing, I actually was, and so when I talk about my special teams, like people don't really know what up back is. Up back is kind of like the quarterback of punt. Basically, when they do the fake punt or they do the fake field goal, the up back is the one who's supposed to receive the snap and throw. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I used to do. I would
Oh, okay.
basically, yeah. So that's how I basically developed my throwing ability. It was just because, and then obviously more recently, now obviously my knees are they've taken too much of a beating, bro. I mean, kind of to give you a summary of kind of my career, just just because like obviously I play San Jose State, it's not San Jose City College, then I play at West Valley College. That's why I got this ring right here, and so that
Oh,
little
there it is.
Vikings,
Yeah, look
yeah,
at the
there it is,
rings.
yeah, see. And then basically I played and then I got a San Jose SaberCats invite tryout back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So that and then I got invited to minicamp, and one of my good friends, Matt Costello, who I actually got to meet a little bit before that at San Jose City College, was at San Jose State. He played on the Seahawks a little bit. He made the final roster, but then I would have to try and like keep up with him in practice. And this is he's not that tall. He's like my height. He's like 5'10", but like 240, like
Yeah,
solid muscle,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and just like he gives 110% effort. And I mean, I'm hoping to have him on the show too, but yeah, he was just a fucking beast, bro. Filthy. You know what I mean? And then
yeah.
after that, so I mean, I basically spent like 2 to 3 weeks on the Sabercats. And this is a little known fact, but this Pakistani flag, the reason I wear it is because I'm the first player of Pakistani descent to ever make it on AFL roster.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, to even be invited to camp. The only other player to play in the professional league is Jabran Hamdan, and Jabran Hamdan played in the NFL. He's the only player Pakistani sent to play in the NFL. And when I retired 2 years ago, he congratulated me on my career.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so that meant a lot to me because I know just kind of having that lineage and that linkage. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah. So after San Jose SaberCats didn't work out, the Stockton Wolves, a new arena team out in Stockton at Stockton Arena, basically gave me a call. They said, hey, we saw your film from Coach Pappin. Do you want to come and walk on? Or not walk on? You can't walk on to a pro team. You have to try out, right? Because they're gonna pay you money.
Yeah,
And so they basically and they said, okay, yeah. They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay. So I went over there. And I basically tried out, and I did really well. They gave me great feedback. My numbers are great, actually. I clocked a 4.5 40. And so I was able to get my 40 down from like a 4.8, 4.9 to a 4.5. And I was able to, and then I was able to just, just like do great on the vertical, great, and one-on-ones, and obviously, I mean, I would switch both sides. Like you said, I would be a QB whenever I need to be, if I want to try. I try out for every position, basically, they rotated
yeah,
me around,
yeah,
at least offensively, they rotate me around. For corners, I basically, I try out for corner blitz packages, and we try 7-on-7s. And so basically it was like a regional combine, right? And then so they get down to the last 10 to 20 guys, and I'm one of the last five, and then it's between me and two other guys, and I'm basically I made the final three, and they
yeah,
basically keep working and come back next year. And so I mean, I'm basically at this point I'm doing pizzas for Pizza Hut just to make money. I'm just like still in school trying to figure shit out,
yeah.
and I'm still with my parents, you know. And so, what I mean. I'm 21, and this is like 20. Yeah, so I'm like 21 years old, right?
Yeah,
And pretty much I'm just trying to, I'm trying to pursue this dream of getting to the league, even though I knew realistically my limitations as an athlete, I may or may not be an NFL player, I may or may not be a Division 1 football player, but I'm still in this spot where these coaches in the pro arena scene know about me. They know
Yeah.
me, and I'll get a shot. So I just
Yeah.
kept hoping and praying. I just kept working out, and then the next year, 2012, the Stockton Wolves fold. They get rebranded as the California Eagles under new ownership. Coach
Hmm.
Benny King calls me. He's like, "Hey, Asif." I'm like, "What's up?" He's all like, "Yeah, I saw your slot receiver, kind of your workout from last year's combine, last year's tryout. Do you want to come here and give and try out?" I'm like, "Sure." Like, and like, and then lo and behold, who was there? Coach Pappen from 2 years ago, right? The SaberCats.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
God, But I mean, because basically they ran the formations I was familiar with. They ran the kind of
Hmm.
the double crosses, kind of like the dig, kind of the Z digs, for those who don't
Yeah.
understand. That means basically, two digs out, and basically things which I was familiar with as a slot receiver, right? So I could
Yeah.
just basically
Hmm.
come in the middle, come out, basically like that. And yeah, I mean, basically, it came down to me and one last guy, and this guy he actually had better numbers than I did. He had better numbers
Yeah.
than I did. He had a better 40 time, he had a better shuttle, and he had a better, I think, yeah, he had a better 40 time, better shuttle, better bench press, and better vertical. But the coaches saw my effort and they want to give I got the final contract. And
There you go.
yeah, and that's actually, so that year, the 2012 year, is the Cal Eagles, this one right here. And
I see that.
so yeah, I see that. And so we actually won the Western Conference Championship that year. And so
Nice.
we played an AIF championship game. And actually, let me show you the other side of this right here. See if you can read that. This is my
Special
name.
teams player of the year.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah. So this is pretty much my proudest ring, I would say,
Okay. Yeah,
because it's
that was gonna
pro.
be the. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I was
And
gonna ask you which ring was the most the one that meant more to you. And that
right.
was my next question, and there it is. That's
Yeah, because pretty much to give you kind of the full background. Obviously, with our season that year in 2012, we basically went. It was supposed to be a 9 game season. That's how arena is. Usually, it's like 9 games, 9 weeks,
yeah.
and then basically with the 9 weeks, the Western Conference champion, or you get to the playoffs. Whoever is the Western Conference champion, whoever is the Eastern Conference champion, then they basically play. It's like you get to the conference championship and you get to the championship game, and then pretty much those two teams play for the championship, right? The
Yeah.
issue was the actual Western Conference champion that year was the Ontario Warriors down in Ontario and SoCal, by Riverside, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they went 7-0, and then they basically folded. They folded, okay? And because the league suspended them because they were illegally recruiting players from other teams, you know.
Oh,
And yeah, you can't. That's a big no-no, right?
no.
And
Yeah.
so who was the second best record? We were 3-2, and
Yeah.
on a shortened season. And then we basically got to play. We basically got crowned Western Conference champions. But we earned it, in my opinion, because when we played the Ontario Warriors, we played them tough, and I think and we didn't win, but we played them in overtime. So I mean, we it was like a 1 point game, and
Yeah.
pretty much but then we got to the conference championship game that year, and then the actual championship game, the AIF championship game against the Cape Fear Heroes. Cape Fear Heroes are based out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, right? And
Hmm.
they were 9-0 that year. And bro, when I talk about a beatdown, I mean, bro, the final score I'll never forget: 79-27.
79-27.
79-27. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
that
ring.
is a beatdown. That is a beatdown.
It's a beat. I mean, and it's funny because obviously I've had former NFL players who I'm a friend who became acquainted with my playing career, right?
Yep.
Like Lofa Toop and other guys. I've talked to them about their Super Bowl losses, right?
Yeah.
Because I never forgot that score. I never forgot what it felt like to walk off that field. But I mean, but the issue is like I told Lofa, and like I told other guests, and like I'm gonna tell you and anyone else who's listening, it's just that when you get blown out, you cannot be mad. You cannot say the refs cheated you. You can't say that you can't feel bad. I mean, yeah, you'll feel fucking horrible for being blown out. It feels like shit, especially when you're this close to getting a championship.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
especially a league championship.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to understand that okay, you know what? Hey, the other team was just better. You know,
Yeah.
hats off to them. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think, but it was a great run. You know what I mean? Because after 2012, what happened was my mom's like, okay, you're getting paid $80 a game, and I played 5 years straight now at this point, right? So San Jose
Yeah.
City College 08, West Valley College in 09, SaberCats tryout and still conditioning 2010, so Stockton Wolves tryout and conditioning 2011, right? And then fucking 2012 AIF, 2012 season AIF with the Cal Eagles, right? My mom's like, when are you gonna get a real? You need a degree. She's like, you need a degree, you need
Yeah.
a job, otherwise you're gonna end up being a fucking peach dryer for the rest of your life, right? I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. So,
Plan
luckily,
B.
Plan B, right? And so Plan B at this point was basically, taking the credits I accumulated, because I was still a part-time student at the JUCOs, and
Yeah.
basically I used my credits to transfer to Cal State East Bay and do the health science major. And with the health science major, I basically was able to start working contracts in different IT fields, right? And
Yeah.
so that's basically how I was able to graduate and break into my field, which I'm in today, healthcare IT consulting. IT
That's all.
consulting, as I'm on LLC and I contract with different clients, but
Yeah.
basically it started off with healthcare, right? And
Yeah.
basically, so this is 2014 when I finished my undergrad, and I moved to Sacramento to get my first job. And then I'm basically working. I buy my first house at the age of 25 in 2015, and then I'm just basically I moved back here. I'm renting that house. It's been rented out for 5 years now to the same tenant, and God bless them, they're great people.
Yeah.
And then basically in 2016, 2017, 2015, I moved back to the Bay. I finished out. I started my master's at the same school I finished my undergrad, Cal State East Bay. I do my master's of healthcare administration. I finished that in 2017. I'm working in different companies at this throughout the progression of this. I go from United Healthcare to Kaiser, then from Kaiser to back to United Healthcare, and
Yeah.
then around March 2017, I finished my master's, and then I basically then finish out kind of I basically they end up letting me go healthcare in October, and I'm like, oh shit, I finished my master's. I thought I'm gonna get a great job, this and that. Lo and behold, what happens? I start interviewing. I get reached out to a recruiter on LinkedIn for a job opportunity in Chicago with Blue Cross Blue
Mm-hmm.
Shield of Illinois. So I end up like, okay, cool, and I go interview there, and it went great. It went great. I'm really thankful I was able to move out there. And then what happened after that? Basically, I was there from November 2017, and it's funny now. This comes full circle being a Niners fan. I was there in November 2017, and the first game I get to watch is Niners play the Bears at Soldier Field, which is Jimmy G's first start as a Niner.
Yeah. That is
And
awesome.
right, and guess what? And he's from Chicago, right? He's
He's from
from
Chicago. Yeah.
and so it's like a homecoming for him, and it's just such a great experience, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, whoa, dude, like this is Jimmy G, and then lo and behold, I would end up playing, and I'll get to that in a bit. I basically kind of after Jimmy G, after I saw that game, this is around December 2017. Basically then I'm still working, and then I basically was just like, I've seen all my JUCO kind of teammates, my college teammates, and some of my arena teammates play semi-pro.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys from the Cal Eagles right here, they basically after the Eagles folded, they went to go play semi-pro.
Okay.
And I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, cool, semi-pro, but I'm like, I'm in a new city, Chicago. I don't know anyone here. I'm a Cali boy. What am I gonna do? And I find out there's still arena teams out there, and these semi-pro teams are technically they get to play against the arena teams.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
should I? Should I? Should I? Ooh, I got the itch. I got the itch. I got the itch. I got the.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, should I do? Should I do? Should I do? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh my fucking god, dude. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. And then so basically around this point, the Chicago Falcons, I reached out to a few teams. I didn't hear back from too many, except then the Chicago Falcons. And I go there. I go to practice. I meet Coach Rob, Coach Tom Robinson, who's also a guest of the show.
Yeah.
And basically, yeah, I mean, rest was history. I mean, that's actually where I got this ring right here, Chicago Falcons. So
Chicago Falcons. Yeah.
yeah, and so we actually played against some teams I played against in the AIF with the Eagles. The fucking Western Michigan Ironmen, a pro football team who's still in existence. Kind of like Cape for Heroes. They're also a really good team. They have NFL players just coming. It's like a feeder. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
players get called down, then they get called back up. Right?
Yeah.
And pretty much we played against them. They beat us 79-0. I'm like, oh my god, I just had to deal with this shit, dude. Like, why? Like, why the
Hey, I was
fuck?
gonna say that.
You know?
79 again.
Yeah, bro. Like 70. I'm like, bro. And then one of my teammates, guys, Phil, who's now deceased, God rest his soul. He gets his collarbone broken. And Phil, being the fucking he has such a great sense of humor. He can make so many jokes about himself. He literally films the fucking play where the guy knocks him out. It's special teams. So like obviously that's how I know it's special teams. It's kickoff. Phil, like our guy gets the ball, right? And then Phil goes to turn. The moment he turns, bro, literally the moment he turns, it goes like this. The defender is literally like this, like
Yeah.
that, about to wrap and hit him, and then he just boom, and Phil just hits the floor, like,
Oh,
you know what I mean? And it was
yeah.
literally like I was like, oh my god. And I mean,
he didn't see what was coming.
you didn't see. I mean, that's why they the saying, "Keep your head on a swivel," right?
Yeah,
That's where that comes from. You gotta keep your head on a swivel at all times.
know your awareness.
And then Phil reposted with the Titanic song.
Yeah,
Like I will forever remember you, and there's like, and then the hits on replay, like
yeah,
repeat,
yeah,
bam, bam, bam. I'm just watching, bro. It was fucking hilarious, G. Like,
yeah,
yeah, these guys are we're playing as professionals, you know what I mean?
yeah, for
And
sure.
obviously, I was at this point, I'm playing with semi-professionals, which are basically considered quote unquote amateurs, because most of them don't get paid to play because it's supposed to be either paid you pay to play. But I'm just like, dude, like, holy fucking shit! Like, like, it was just like it was hilarious, dude. Like, and it was, I would say the Falcons. This ring was the one I had the most fun with because I I had the biggest role on the Falcons. I was a captain of special teams.
Yeah,
The captain, and basically I was also the kind of the general manager. So I was a general manager, and I was also like a special teams, still a really good special teams player, and I was also a slot. And then occasionally they let me. Coach Rob asked me if I want to play defense. I never played defense, but he was cool. I mean, like, so I would come in slot, be either decoy, be on blocking schemes, because at this point I'm playing with these kids fresh out of college, like, and these are like kids who are like fit, like ready
yoked.
to try to
Yeah,
get, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
so
yoked.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, bro, I'm just playing this shit, and it was such a great experience because I'm just like, I'd never been with semi-pro at that point, right? And just for me to
Yeah,
be there and meet these guys and build those relationships, foster those relationships, and just get that experience. It was such a phenomenal journey. And we actually made it to the Western Conference Championship. Not the Western Conference Championship. It was I think it was the South, one of the conference championships. I forgot what they called it. Because our
yeah.
league, the RFL, that was their last league the RFL played. The RFL is actually this jersey right here, the 81 right there.
There it
And so
is.
so that's my my All-Star jersey in the frame. That's my last jersey I ever wore in competitive play. It's the All-Star game. I mean, no one really plays the All-Star. It's a Pro Bowl. It's like no one's gonna play in the fucking Pro Bowl, right? They're just gonna go there and just shoot up and just take victories,
Yeah,
right? But pretty much with that, right? It was just like the All-Star game, or kind of like the kind of being there and being the RFL, the World Ironman Football League. I mean, it was a great experience because obviously I not been familiar with guys who had transportation issues to get to practice. I not been familiar with guys who basically didn't understand what the concept of kind of being lane, the concept of lane integrity, the concept of special teams kickoffs, because the concept of blocking assignments, the concept of like being a gunner and also jamming for the return man,
yeah.
and whenever I was on the field, the other team never scored a touchdown on punt, on kickoff, on punt return or kickoff return. Never.
That's that
So
experience,
yeah, exactly. So
That's where it spoke. That's the experience that you had, and that's really awesome that you could you showed those young kids fresh out of that's really awesome. There it is.
yeah, no, I was kidding. Yeah,
Nah,
exactly. It was like you may have heard the episode 7. My teammate on the Falcons, Jonathan Vonder.
yeah,
He recalls one of the plays where basically we're playing against a team out in Wisconsin, the Southern Lakes Blue Devils, and basically I'm on kickoff, and so we're it was the assignment. Well, sorry, it's not kick. Yeah, we're kickoff, and then we're sorry. He's talking about this is return, and so we're on return, and basically he and I are lined up right next to each other. Our kicker kicks the ball. We're running down the field. Oh, no, sorry. I'm returning. I keep fucking up, dude. I took too many hits to the head when I played. That's why I keep mixing my events. Okay.
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So obviously the returner, our team, AJ James, Jamarion James, phenomenal athlete. He was great, at least as a returner. He basically, we all have our assignments, and then he basically gets the ball, and at this point he tries to come around me, and I'm the wedge, and I'm the wedge. I'm basically trying to wedge, him to come around, come cut backside, on the sideline, so he has an open lane, right, to get to the end
Right.
zone. And so basically, this one guy comes at me, and I'm basically like, and then my teammates are like, "You gotta block somebody. You gotta block somebody, man. Like we gotta see you. We saw your 81 from West Valley College. We saw that. Are you still that player?" That's a Founder he's sending me. It's like, "Are you still that player?" And shout
Yeah.
out Founder business, bro. I mean, I remember, that's what we're living this play on this podcast with Mark. I just want you to know, Founder, hey man, shout out you, bro, because I mean, he that was a play, because basically Founder is next to me. He basically gets the other guy. And then one guy, so AJ's right behind me. AJ's legitimately, he has the ball right behind me. This guy's coming, and I just literally set and I block. and then basically AJ is basically able to take it 36 yards up the field. Um,
Yeah.
and then Fonder's like, I saw you, I saw you. They used to call me LA because I'm a Lakers fan and I'm from
Yeah.
Cali. They first called me Cali, but that name is they call me LA, right?
Yeah.
Like, I
LA.
saw you, LA, I saw you, LA, blah blah blah. It's like, then my other teammate William Gibbs, shout William Gibbs
I'm
center, he's
still
from,
that 81. I'm
yeah, I
still
saw
that
that.
81.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey
I
brother,
still
I
got
mean,
it.
yeah, and those are the moments I cherish the most,
Yeah.
and it's just like reliving it with you. It was so awesome because I'm like, dude, I can do, like I said, the experience. And shout out to my other teammate Dan Calvais. He was our kicker actually during that game, and he played at Wash U, so he's actually a great athlete too. He was like an NCAA D3 All American. And basically with him, I mean, he was just like, he's like, I just remembered, he's like, you just knew every position on special teams. You knew how to rotate. You knew how to move around to up back, how you move around to contain, to wedge, and then also on kickoff to bullet. Kind of being the gunner to bullet down the field to get to the
Yeah.
return man, being the
Gunner. Yeah.
contain man, make sure that the return man doesn't get past certain yard point, and making a tackle, or at least helping the guy who makes the tackle make the tackle. And then also making sure that even on return, like I said, being able to block, right? And
That's the love for the game.
it's
That's the
yeah,
love for the game. When you just love the game, it just comes second nature. It just
yeah, right. And I mean, it's just, yeah, like you said, it comes, and that's a perfect, yeah, you summarize perfectly, because it comes second nature, because like you said, from my experience at playing at West Valley. Oh man, here's another story I'm gonna tell you. It was funny. So like I said, I was 135 pounds dripping wet, and so
yeah,
you're going up against guys who are like all stars after high school, and like we're
yeah,
probably D1 prospects, but because of their grades, they just couldn't go D1, or money or whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and so basically, oh god, I'll never forget this, but yeah, and Hashim remembers this guy, or Jesus was. I told shout out Jesus Carball, the assistant linebackers coach now, linebackers coach at San Jose College, and shout out Coach Wink, my coach from West Valley, who's now the head coach at San Jose College. Basically, I remember it was basically the play was. It wasn't even a play actually. It was a blocking drill. It was just Kyle was blocking. He had the bag and he's blocking, and he's 6'4", like 220, 230, maybe even 240 solid. And I'm like, so he outweighs me like 80 pounds at this point,
yeah.
right? And he's solid. And I'm just like, and I'm like five. I'm like, okay. And so basically, I'm trying to get around him, and he just like he hits me once, and I'm like, whoa! I fall back. I try to go, hits me again, till I'm on the ground, and I just have to crawl. I have to crawl and get the bag. And I get the bag. My coach was like, "There you fucking go, Andy!" Whoa! Like it's like, you know what I mean? And that, like you said, bro, it's like, there you go. Like, when you get that acknowledgement from your coaches and your teammates,
Yeah,
I don't care what level it is. I don't care where you are, man. Like, I played at all levels. I played professionally in the Arena League. I played semi-professionally. I played JUCO. I played collegiate ball. So I've been paid. I haven't been paid, and I've played across the country. All
yeah,
against
yeah.
pro, and yeah, and I mean, it's just, the feeling is just so satisfying. Like you said,
It's
when
a
you get,
rush.
it's a rush of blood. Yeah, it's the adrenaline rush getting out there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
talking about it, it's like I wish my body wasn't so broken down as it is now, because I could, all the injuries I sustained. I mean, like my knees, like especially like they took a beating.
yeah,
Obviously, with now I have a hernia from like all the weightlifting. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna
yeah.
have to be careful with that now. This finger action. Let me take off this ring and show this to you. There's a scar right there on that finger, if you can see it right there.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So what happened was basically, I was going for a catch. The Mike linebacker collides with the edge of his shoulder pad collides with my finger,
Yeah,
and then my finger goes like this, like literally like that. Yeah, like that. And then
yeah.
I'm working out, I was doing my workout. Next day, my dad sees it and he's like, show me your finger. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, you need to go see a hand surgeon right now. I'm like, why? He's like, your nerve is gonna be permanently damaged because it's been pinched and your finger is bent. They basically do X-ray, and they found out that like this part of the bone had fragmented off. I'll probably send you that photo after the podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, for
just
sure.
yeah, because they had to literally put pins and rods to reattach the bone,
Yeah,
and then they also had to repair the joint. I had to do physical therapy for basically 6 months, just like this,
just
just to
yeah,
get it. And I was missing that whole season. I was missing so much of like just playing flag football with my boys, right? And I mean,
yeah,
that was tough. Even though I'm not playing professionally and I'm not playing competitively, like like it's like you're just sitting there like, damn, I want to get out there. And I mean, I'm just
yeah,
like, it was good for me because I use that time to kind of focus on like different type of kind of aerobic exercises, cardio, and just trying to like be accustomed to not playing and just kind of be comfortable with myself and find some
Yeah.
other stuff to do. So I mean,
Yeah.
I plus I got focused on work a little bit more, but I got to be a fan more. I got to watch, Niners when Cap was there this last year, 2016. And it was, so I mean, I find the silver
Shout out to
lining.
Cap.
Shout out to Cap, baby. Hey man,
I'll,
shout out. Good, yeah.
I'll be sick if you get him on the podcast.
Oh man, if I can get him on the podcast, it'd be great. It was crazy story about that. So check this out. Cap and Eric Reed. If you remember Eric Reed, right?
I remember Eric Reed. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both at my school, Cal State East Bay. I just missed them the day before they came out there to work out. I was like, oh my god, they were at my school, literally in the soccer field, football field, just like conditioning. Because
Yeah.
obviously, Cap's a Central Valley guy. He's from Turlock. I play at Stockton. I play in San Jose. I mean, like, the 49ers are right there. Like, the training facility's right there in Santa Clara now, right? In Levi's.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, like, I mean, it's just crazy because you just see them walking around, like, and like sometimes,
Exactly.
did they show up to like the SaberCats games, or they show up to like, some of, let's say, or my situation, the SaberCats mini camp, or they show up. Sometimes they even show up to Stockton Wolves because they either one of their players or they're looking at a guy who they want to call up, right, to
Yeah.
take a look at. A lot of guys who want to be on the show, like actually one of the quarterbacks played against in JUCO, Kevin Vi, he got a look. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Cap, if we can get him on the show, that'd be great. Shout out Cap if you listen to this. But I mean,
Shout out
yeah,
to Kaepernick. Yeah.
yeah. And it's a funny story about that. Like I said, like he was just at my school, and then the quarterback who won. So this ring right here is an anniversary ring. We didn't win the league that year. The team that won was De Anza,
Yeah.
out in Cupertino. The quarterback of that team was Kevin Vi, right? They won the bowl. They won the conference, and they won the bowl game. They finished, I think, second in the state, in the state championship game. Basically, Kevin was he was called up to go to the Niners after he went to go play overseas in Europe.
Hmm.
He's at the training facility in Santa Clara, and Vernon Davis he's conditioning Vernon Davis, and Vernon Davis wants him to throw out, just throw to him, like so Vernon can run some routes and Kevin can throw, and Kevin's like, why the fuck isn't Cap doing this for you? And the
Yeah.
reason why, because Cap's in Arizona working with Kurt Warner, and then he's like, yeah, he's like, that was great because Kurt Warner and Cap both have that little sidearm. Cap's
Yeah.
left-handed, right? So he wouldn't throw his right hand. And then, but pretty much with that, Kevin's like, so he's like, I had to grow up real fast to work out with Vernon Davis, right?
Yeah.
Because Vernon Davis, I mean, he has hands and he will get open like a motherfucker. Like,
You got speed too.
yeah, he got speed. I see you the beanie.
Yeah.
He
You
shot.
already know I'm all
Yeah,
Niner now.
exactly. Yeah, Niners,
Love my
baby. So
Niners.
yeah, it would have been cool if I try out for Niners, but I mean, I never got called up. But I mean, it doesn't really matter to me because I mean, that wasn't the objective. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like I have fans like you, who are now basically able to watch me, and basically we can just talk about kind of like my experience as a player. I mean, at all different levels. I mean, I've been fortunate to have a very good career up to this point. Because with everything I've been able to accomplish, I think the biggest thing is kind of like we talk about relationships, and it's like relationships like this, like
Yeah.
having friendships, and it's like almost like when your fans become family, you're basically
Yeah.
like, all right, so
Yeah. And that's that's the thing I always tell people. They're just like, they see me watching sports or watching the Niners play, and they see me all emotion, all into it, and it's just a game. No, it's not just a game.
yeah,
It's really just not a game. Like,
right,
to you guys, but to us, it's something else. It's like, you stop for a moment from everything that whatever you're going through or whatever, and you sit there for those 3-4 hours or how long the game lasts, and you just forget about everything. You're just so into it. And everyone in the stadium or everyone at home watching it, everyone's just focused on the game. All of us. Like when I go to games, like, I sit with people that I don't even know. And for that moment, for that time of the game, they're my friends, they're family, and we're just high-fiving each other, and we're sharing that same love we have for the team, and that's what I mean. Football is yeah, it's something really really special, and I love it, and it just brings a lot of people together, and I love it. Yeah.
100%.
And you got to experience that, and that's really awesome. The stories you're telling me, and you got to experience all that, and that's really cool. And you got friends that are family to you, and that's a great example of what I mean. Of what I mean. Football and sports it's an awesome thing to have people come together.
Right. Right. Exactly. And and to your point, like obviously, kind of like your situation. I remember I go to Warriors games, just because the Warriors are a local team here, to see the Lakers come play back when Kobe was playing, and I would
Yeah.
just get like the seats I would just go by myself. just like, and I'd be sitting
Yeah.
next to like a bunch of like random dudes, they're all drunk and tipsy, and then I'm like in between my arena, cause this is in between my arena days, because I mean, 2010 and 12 is kind of when I used to go to Warriors games. That's when I used to play, right? And
Yeah.
then, but and then basically, then like guys would be all, and I showed you guys like my arena profile. They were like, dude, no shit. Like, and then they'd be like, why don't you get there on the court? I'm like, dude, I'm a football player. I'm not a basketball player. Like, but look at you. You can fucking play. I'm like, dude, I'm not a basketball. I'm a football player, dude. I'm not. But like you said, those are those experiences, right? You get
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and into football specifically, when I was at the NFC Championship game, this past January, right, last year.
Oh, you were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you were. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw your
yeah,
post. Yeah.
yeah. So I was there. I got to sit in the friends and family section. Next to the friends and family section, right next to George Kittle's mom and dad, Bruce Kittle and Carol. I believe Carol's her name. And
Oh
then
shit! No way.
and then 10 rows back was Nick Bosa's dad, John Bosa. And
Yeah.
yeah. And man, I mean, it was just crazy, because it's like after the game. I mean, obviously we whooped the Packers' ass.
Yeah.
So much fun to watch, right? It's like we beat the fucking shit out of the Packers. And then I go up to Bruce, and but I'm able to kind of relate. I told him I played in AFL. I showed him my profile. I wasn't wearing my rings, but he didn't need to see it, because he just kind of
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
And then, but we had such a great talk about kind of different schemes, different types. Because he's a coach. He's a coach. He coaches high school
Yeah.
football,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
kind of like he had the outlook on his son. And I basically, when the game was over, George came up to our section, was like this. He's looking at his family, looking at his fiance, Claire, who's now married to, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I told Bruce and his wife, George Kittle's parents, I'm like, your son's the best tight end in the game. And they're
Yes, he
all,
is.
yeah. I'm like, they're like, yep, like we appreciate it. They didn't even agree. They just said thank you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Humble. That's
humble.
just being humble about it. George Kittle is the best tight end in the league.
I agree. I agree. I mean, Travis Kelsey can have as many phenomenal seasons as he has. You can't convince me that he can do everything George Kittle can do. Because George Kittle, best all around, he can block, he
Mm-hmm.
can run, and it's not just man, it's zone. He can do zone blocking,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
he could just, I mean, and that's a player. If any kids are like, any kids who follow me, like JUCO prospects or any high school kids, if you're looking to play tight end, watch
That's
George
who you.
Kittle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly that's who you should watch.
And he has fun out there.
Yeah,
He's having
exactly.
fun out there.
Yeah.
And like that block against that Atlanta, when we played Atlanta, and he takes the guy down and he's laughing while he's going down. Like,
Oh my god.
wow, like a little kid at a candy store, but he's playing football and he's playing and he's doing what he loves and he's having fun out there. And that's, oh man, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It
George
is.
Kittle.
And kind of like me, that's what people have complimented me on. And I'm not comparing myself to George Kittle by any means, right? But I'm saying that like people have told me like the reason why they're fans is because they love my energy, my passion
Yeah.
for the game. Yeah, and and I'm sure that's also another reason why you're also a fan, because of that. Now that you've actually got to meet me, you've obviously seen all my posts, you see how passionate and obviously kind of all that. But now you find me, you kind of get an introspective look as to kind of my full career. And obviously, yeah, as we're both fans, I feel like we're all fans of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to Lofa Tupu, who plays the Super Bowl. Lincoln Kennedy played in the Super Bowl and the Arena Bowl, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
and just like they basically say the same thing. They're like, yeah, like I mean, like you're our brother. I used to watch them, right? We all
Yeah.
used to watch them, and
Yeah.
then
I
now
remember.
exactly, yeah, and then now they get to come on my show, and then I get to get respect for my playing career from them, and that to me
Yeah.
is the coolest part about it all. I mean, like we talk about relationships, like the humility you're able to show somebody, just because you never know, like, who's going to be your next fan or who's going to be like the guy who's going to go pro. You never know.
You
So it's
never
like
know.
my mind says, like, if anyone asks for an autograph, like whether it's you, whether it's some kid out, out of state, someone hits me up, for advice, I just basically I comply because I don't know what, maybe Marc is going to become, next billionaire or cover Forbes magazine. Who knows,
I
right?
wish.
Exactly,
You
and
never
so
know. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, who thought I was gonna play football? I mean, I think you may have saw
Yeah.
my story. You may have not seen it, but one of the kids, I coached out in Chicago, because I used to actually own and coach a semi-pro team out there. Own my Carnage. He actually played at SXU, and he got invited to the Carolina Cobras arena football team. And he was
Yeah.
basically he got invited to NFL Combine too. He was like an NFL prospect. So
Yeah.
he basically said like, bro, he's like, I appreciate everything you're able to accomplish, because you're like this skinny little 150-pound guy, Pakistani guy, like you weren't supposed to play football. Like the odds are stacked against you. You didn't play in high school. You go to
Yeah.
JUCO, and like now everyone sees now Last Chance U. I played at Last Chance U before Last Chance U was Last Chance U, right? And
Yeah.
I played before Instagram even existed,
Yeah.
and these are the types of things people don't really appreciate. Kids now, obviously, you can be like a 3, 4 star prospect, and like you can just like post videos of yourself throwing, post videos of yourself of like catching, and you'll get buzz from like all different colleges. But like back in our day, right, we
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
have that luxury. Like, Facebook just
Yeah.
came into the fold, right? So,
Yeah.
but pretty
Yeah.
much kind of the point of this is just like, he's like you, the odds are stacked against you, and you're still able to make it.
Yeah.
And that to me is the biggest thing, to get that kind
Yeah.
of recognition to say, okay, anything I want to do, if I pursue it full force, I'll be successful at it. Football was no exception to that, you
Yeah.
know? And so, yeah.
No, yeah, and I do admire that about you. Like I told you earlier, in the beginning of this podcast, that you're out there grinding. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's raining, nighttime. You're out there grinding, and
Right.
and that's what really got me into really following you a lot. And I enjoy I enjoy those videos and seeing him. I'm like, man, he loves the football. He loves football as much
Right.
as I do, and I can relate with him. You know what I mean? And that's what made me follow you. And I'm enjoying every bit of it. Watching you got your podcast going now, and that's really awesome, man. So shout out to you. Shouting the doubters. And just shutting them up and proving them wrong. And that's really awesome. That's really awesome, and I admire that about you.
I'm really grateful you said that. That means a lot to me because,
Yeah,
obviously the doubters were a huge part and a huge motivator for me to keep playing and actually start playing, because you
yeah,
asked me kind of what got you into it. Well, it's also kind of me knowing that I'm this little skinny kid and I may or may not be able to make a career out of this, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
people would ask me from high school, like, dude, you're playing now? Like, do you see a future in this? I'm like,
I don't
I,
know.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I'm
You
winging
took a
it,
chance. You took a
Yeah,
chance on it, and
yeah,
that's what's cool about it. You didn't
100%.
know, but you just were like, you know what, and you put your mind to it, and you did it.
100%. And I
Yeah.
think to your point, I mean, you get it, because you're a fan and you're passionate. You played, I think, in high school, right?
I never really got to play. I
Okay.
never really got to put the pads on or the helmet to do all that. Yeah, I wish I could have. The grades weren't there. Growing
That's how
up.
it is, right?
You know,
Right?
growing up. And but I did play. You know, Sundays after games, like get with a bunch of buddies from high school, and we would go play with no pads on, man, and we were out there freaking hitting each other like no care in the world about what was gonna happen or down the road. Oh, you might mess up your knee or your arms. We were just out there, and that's just the love of the game. Like I said again, and football is, man, yeah. Besides, like my family, my son, football's up there. I love it, and I wish I could have played.
Right.
You know, but
You're on here with me, man. Shit. Good enough,
yeah,
right?
that's good enough.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I
Thanks for
do stay
having me.
100%. No, it was great. Hey, man, it was great meeting you.
Likewise.
Likewise, what I mean,
I
and I
know it's a
appreciate.
little awkward at first. It's something new to me. So just shout out to you for keep having me on here and inviting me, and I appreciate it. Keep going, keep grinding. I hope this podcast just I hope you get Kaepernick on here.
Yeah, one of these days, man. Hope we get Kaepernick. Hope we get Jeff Garcia. One of those guys. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and I
Steve
follow Jeff
Chast
Garcia
on
on
Instagram.
IG, and I sent him. I was like, you should come out of retirement and come help us. And he actually responded and he was like, I wish. So that's pretty cool. Shout out to Jeff Garcia for responding back to me.
100%. No, opposite. That's great. That's great for him. Yeah, he actually read my messages, but I kept inboxing him. I flooded his inbox, so he stopped responding. That's how Jabron comes on too. He read my inbox and started finding. And I told Lofa when Lofa was on, I'm like, yeah, like Jabron jipped me. He's like, bro, why are you taking it personally? Jabron doesn't even respond to me sometimes. And Lofa played with him in Seattle, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
That's
I mean,
like
yeah.
that George and Jimmy Garoppolo where he says George Kittle says that Jimmy doesn't even respond to his messages.
Poor,
Don't
oh
take it
my,
personal.
yeah, don't take it personal. No, 100%. And George Kittle is actually one of the cool guys. He responds to all fans' messages. And he's
Yeah.
he's a great dude. I love him. So I love him for that.
Yeah, I love my Niners. I love that whole team, and we'll be back next. Well, they'll be back next year, and hopefully, we'll go right back to where we left off. Not this year, but the last year.
Right, 100%, man.
It
100%.
hurt. It hurt because I knew they're a really great team. The Niners are a really great team, and it just hurts that they're not in the playoffs, trying to go into trying to get to the Super Bowl.
Right. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, the Niners are such a great team. We have so much talent, but we'll see what happens with the offseason, man, because I don't know what Lynch and Shanahan are going to do. If they
Yeah,
if they're going to keep Jimmy, if they're going to make a move for Stafford, or if they're going to if they're going to bring in someone to compete with Jimmy, if they're going to keep Bosa, if they have to get rid of, if they're going to try and make a move for Watson, right?
yeah.
Deshaun, there's too many hypotheticals and too many question marks. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean,
It's gonna be a good off season.
it's one way or the other, right? It's gonna be good, right? The
Yeah,
narrative and the intrigue and the drama is what makes it. So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Well, thanks
So
for having me.
100%, yeah, no, and actually, yeah. You tell me you didn't sell my autograph on eBay, did you?
No, I don't. I actually have it still in the envelope, still
Okay.
nice and in there. I just gotta get it. I have to get it framed for it. Something nice to keep it protected. But no, I haven't sold it.
Okay, that's why I'm gonna make sure. As long as you don't sell on eBay, I'm good.
Nah, I haven't sold on eBay.
I appreciate it.
Not
Hey,
yet. Nah.
not yet. Yeah, exactly.
Nah,
Wait till that stock just goes up a little bit more, then
a
you're
little
like,
more.
yeah, exactly. No,
Nah. I'm gonna keep
no,
that, man. I appreciate that too as well for the, sending me that.
100%, man. No, anything for my fans. It was really great meeting you, and yeah,
Yeah,
man.
like, thank you.
Yeah, likewise. No, have a great night, and talk to you soon, brother.
Have a
Take
great
care.
night. Yeah. See you soon,
Yeah.
brother.
All right,
Bye.
take care.